Hello, all you fellow Dusty Dogs and travelers of the trail out there. My name is Dusty Yoti here for DIOT Gaming, and welcome back to Winds of Change. Holy crap, I think we are actually at the final stream for this. My god, it's taken forever to get here, but yes, I think we finally made it. So, yeah, we did our final heart-to-heart. Clicking on the right arrow will actually bring us to the next area and what is going to be the assault on the actual Triumvirate's castle. But before we wanted to go onwards, I just wanted to say something because I am slightly embarrassed by it, and yet I still think it's kind of silly to begin with. So, I will totally admit that after a couple of these sessions, I've gone out to look for fan art. And yet it's come to my attention that a couple of the characters in here are actual OCs. Like, they're not just like, oh, hey, they've created characters for the game, which is what I thought. So I thought I was going to be able to look up some of these people. Some of these people to find fan art. Heavy quotes around that. Yeah, no, a couple of these are OCs, and I should have been attuned to that earlier when, Halen's actual owner does have a Twitter account. And liked a lot of the early posts when I was streaming Winds of Change. So, yeah. If you search it up, honestly, you will find what you're looking for, but it's not fan art. These are actual OCs. And it took me a while. Now, thankfully for my brain, it noticed it was somebody's OC and kind of turned itself off. Like, it wasn't just, like, limited to the game. It kind of turned itself off like, oh, okay, the art looks cool. But I recognize this is a character from somebody else. So outside of an aesthetic interest, I am no longer interested. Like, the brain did that. Like, so, yeah, they're cool-looking characters, but yeah, there's a part of my brain that was just like, I want to see more of these two guys. Let's see if there's fan art of them. Went to look at fan art. Never mind, they're not fan art. It's all OCs. And went, okay, we're good with that. So, yay, thank you, brain, for not going crazy on that, but still, it is one of those things that kind of was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that earlier, so... Oops. Okay, but yeah, that aside, let us head onwards, because I've been delaying this too long. One, I've been delaying it too long, and two, I keep thinking we're getting closer to the end, because I've heard this is a 21 to 24 hour game. We are on hour 23, so we're close. That being said, this could be the longest hour and a half of my life if we have to go through Balteus. So let's see here. Let's go. Oh, for reference, the 21 to 24, less from actually seeing people on to do it, and more a site called How Long to Beat, which actually will register. You can go in there and register the time it takes you to beat something, and what system you're playing it on. So there's a whole bunch of people there who had cleared it between 21 and 24 hours. Again, we're at like 22 and a half or 23. Yeah, if we go to the save, we're at 24, actually. We are at 24, according to my last save. So, yeah, we are at 24 hours. You technically could watch the series back to front and spend a whole day. A whole day with it. Who would do that? I don't know. I can't even do that with with the Let's Play channels that I like. I do, though, a lot, because I binge, but I can't watch a series a whole day. Anyways, would you like to... oh, wow! Would you like to end the journey? This is probably going to be a long series of cutscenes. There's probably going to be a couple of decisions that we have to make, but that is still probably the most ominous thing that I've ever seen in this game so far. Oh goodness. Would I like to end the journey? It's been a rush, and it's been a ride, but unfortunately, we got to go to the finale. Oh boy. I am kind of scared. I descend the stairs of the Grand Library, the crisp Baltean air assaulting me. I shiver and stand in disbelief at at how uninviting the city seems to be. If this is where I'd sit in the throne, we'd need to change a lot. Looking around the area, it appears that everybody is here. I tried to take a head count just to make sure that's correct. This is the final attack. We needed all of our might. I see Dominic shaking hands with the created seers. Good. They helped us secure the library and survived. They would be a valuable asset in holding the town square. It was nice to see their full potential finally realized. Using their visions, they outsmarted an entire horde of enemies. It was in this exact moment that I knew I made the right choice. Oh no. Oh. Oh, please tell me that this is a confirmation that something I did earlier is going to save somebody. Because it might be. It might. I'm scared. I am now very scared about shit that I'm gonna... this is part of the reason why I stated that I was panicking. Oh god. That, I hope the choices that I made is gonna cause the people to survive. Our forces run around, seemingly taking on an infinite number of tasks. Everybody is doing something. It made everything seem more final. I could tell that this was the last time I'd see a lot of these people. There was no way we'd make it through this without any casualties. Trying to tune out the final preparations, I make my way to Dominic.
Good to see you, Monarch. I'm afraid there isn't much time to talk. We can't deny it. The attack has begun. The Honor Guard should realize that we're here momentarily. After that, this area and the town square will be a war zone. Anybody who has an objective elsewhere should be leaving.
Just as he says that, Pro walks by. Dominic calls out his name and he quickly runs over. That's right, he was tasked with causing a distraction in the castle.
Hey, Dominic, I was just about to leave.
With Grizz too, I presume?
Yes, of course. You know me. I'd never forget anything. You're in for the distraction of a lifetime, Monarch.
Now we have to be careful because Halen is in the atrium, so hopefully... Oh, I hope that means keeping Grizz was the right choice. He smirks at me, a confident, cocky smirk. If he followed through, then I'd find no resistance. It should be smooth sailing when we get to the castle.
Hey, Pro. Before you go...
He holds out his hand and it trembles softly.
It's been an honor serving with you. I hope I see you again after this is over.
Oh, is he finally learning to touch people without fearing? Oh, my boy is growing up! He shakes Dominic's hand with a firm grip.
Trust me, the pleasure has been all mine. And I don't plan on dying. Too much riding to do.
The handshake is broken and they give each other uneasy smiles. The kind of smile that acknowledges they may never see each other again. And soon after that, Pro is on his way, off to face his fate directly and unafraid.
I guess you should get going too, Monarch. Don't worry, I have more protection than I'll ever need. Our rebel forces, the created seers, and the draconic army. No matter what they throw at us, we'll be able to handle it. The true deciding factor in all of this is you and that blade. Be careful, rely on your comrades, and you'll win this for sure.
He places a hand on my shoulder.
I know you can do this. Now we just need to cause a distraction. All those suits should be focusing on me. If all goes as planned, you should find minimal resistance. Save your strength for the triumvirate. I think you'll need it. Anyway, don't worry about me. I'll have Hal by my side.
He looks around, confusion worn on his face.
Speaking of which, where is he? He should have been out here ages ago.
Before I can even respond, I hear a loud cracking noise. Turning to see the source, I see the door to the library smashed open. Algus is shoved through, landing face first on the stone, still tied up. Smoke billows out of the open door as Howl exits the library. Algus struggles on the ground, squirming like some sort of insect. A blaze, bright as the sun itself, makes Howl look like a silhouette.
Hal, what are you doing?
Upon hearing Dominic, he steps forward and grips Algus by the hair. Raising him to his knees, he looks down in horror at her massive army. It was almost as if in that moment he knew he was on the wrong side.
We've come here to destroy the Triumvirate and all that they stand for. Don't tell us you're backing down now that the moment is upon us.
Uh-oh. Did I make a wrong choice in telling Howl I wasn't going to do everything? Uh-oh. Ooh, that's not good. I don't think that's good.
No, of course not. I would never give up when we're so close. Come down here, Howl. Explain yourself.
Howl shakes his head, disobeying Domic's order. Running the dagger along Algus's throat, he then... Howl! What are you doing, Howl?
The monarchy is dead, Domic. Do not cling to memories like us.
He slowly descends the stairs, the crimson dagger dripping blood. As the flame shot out the front door, Howl's face is finally lit up. It appears devoid of all feeling, even after what he had done.
Howl, stand down.
Domic immediately draws his sword, holding it toward Howl.
Stand down. All we've done is carry out our orders. Kill the Triumvirate and their supporters, correct? As their servant, Algus deserves the same fate.
Domic's arm trembles, realizing Howl was right.
And we needed a beacon to lure the honor guard to the square. A beacon that no matter how hard they try, they cannot put out. Burning the library made sense. They are not permitted inside. Do not mourn for what has already been lost, Domic. The honor guard will be here in just a few moments. Preparing your army would be a much better action.
Howl throws the dagger onto the ground.
The battle for Alestia has begun.
Domic lowers his sword, letting out a loud sigh. Howl's right. Algus served the enemy, making him an enemy. And the beacon was paramount to our success. It could not be put out.
I don't believe this.
Howl finally makes it to our location and stands beside us. He shrugs, almost like this isn't a big deal at all.
Drastic measures must be taken in order to ensure our victory. The righting of a long-dead culture is a small price to pay. You should be on your way, Monarch. The time is now.
I'm still wondering with how severe that action was if I did the wrong thing, but... He's right. I had to make my way to the castle. If I use the mountain pass, I should find little resistance. Every suit of armor would soon be on their way to the library.
Do not forget your comrades either. The success of your group will determine everything. Do not waver. Do not falter. Your rule hangs in the balance.
I nod. This was happening so fast, but I could waste no time. We knew this was coming. We knew we'd have to take action. I start to walk away, but Domit calls out to me a moment later.
Hey, be careful, okay? I want to see you there when we regroup in the atrium. If all goes as planned, you'll be seeing me there too.
Uh-oh. Atrium, where Halen is located. I smile and nod. That would have to suffice as a goodbye. After I gather up Valessa, Ulrich, and Fortim, we decide to head out. If we hurried, we could get through the town square before the suits came. In our haste, we say almost no words to one another. There was a silent agreement that the task at hand was more important. And knowing that any word could be our last, silence seemed more appropriate. Halen knelt before his masters, more eager to serve than he had ever been before. He looked at them, awaiting their orders, perhaps the final orders they'd give. We have to him to lead the honor guard and ensure their victory today.
Right, Halen. It seems they seek to deceive us. But it's nothing we haven't seen before.
Deception? That seems to be their strength. What will you have me do, masters?
Man the atrium. Stay in the castle. We shall let them exhaust their forces for now. When they come here, you can finish them off.
You mean to fall into their trap?
Doing so would make it our trap, Halen. Besides, their deaths will feed the blade even more. We need it as strong as possible when it is brought back to us.
For what reason?
Do you doubt us?
No, of course not. I was merely curious, that's all.
Then your curiosity will have to linger. You have your orders, Halen. Now see them out. In a few hours, everything should be over for good.
Halen wondered. But for what side?
Yes, whatever you say. When they arrive in the atrium, consider them dead. I will paint the walls with their blood, or else besmirch them with my own.
Thank you, Halen. Now be on your way. We will send the honor guard to the town square to weaken them. There is no time to waste. The end of everything is upon us.
Without a word, Halen is off on his way. In this moment, he truly became the Grand Inquisitor. Last line of defense between the Triumvirate and a weak insurrection.
The end. Or perhaps another new beginning. Steel yourselves, brothers. You know what's coming.
They all look at each other and nod. For the first time in ages, doubt fills their chambers. Thankfully, nobody was there to witness such a fault. Pro and Grizz into the Triumvirate's castle, careful not to attract attention. The staircase in the middle is the one that led to their chambers for sure. This meant they'd have to lure the honor guard off to the left or the right side. Paths on either side of the stairs led to other sections of the castle. If Pro had to guess, he'd say that they led to living quarters or practice rooms. Much to their luck, a horde of honor guard was gathered at the base of the stairs.
All right. How can we lure them away? Think, Pro, think. You can do this.
Not so loud, Pro. We need a plan before they find us. Let's look for something we can use as a distraction.
Pro examines the area, noticing large metallic stands holding lit candles. That'd be sure to cause a distraction. But how would he use it? His eyes are drawn to large stained glass windows lining the hall.
That'll have to do. Come on, Grizz. Let's do this already. Hopefully the Monarch isn't too far behind.
He starts moving toward the candle holders, but Grizz grabs his shoulder.
No, not that side. It leads to the dining hall and a dead end. You'd only be signing your own death warrant.
Pro nods without a word, and they make their way to the other side of the room. They both grab one of the stands and shake off the candle on the other end. It hits the ground, and the wax shatters in almost every possible direction.
Hey, over here!
In unison, both Pro and Grizz start breaking the windows with their weapons. The honor guard takes notice immediately and starts sauntering over. Pro grins, laughing softly at how easy it was to distract the suits.
Perfect. Now we just need to make a trail. Come on! Don't let us get away!
They run down the hallway, shattering window after window. A trail of broken glass is left behind for the suits to follow after. However, they move slow on purpose, keeping an eye on the horde. Howl and Domik stand side by side in the town square of Balteus. They can hear the sound of the honor guard marching to their location. Echoes of steel grating against steel assault their ears as they wait.
How many do you think there are?
Not enough.
Well, at least you're confident.
Domik brushes some ash off his shoulder. Remnants of the books of the library filled the air. From behind, one of their allies steps forward.
They're almost here. I can tell. Be on your guard. I'll have my men protect you.
Yes, of course, I appreciate it. I'll be watching their backs as well.
Now all three of them were standing side by side. The footsteps of the honor guard got louder and louder. They stepped in using and sounding like a heart that beat too fast.
Reminds me of those drums in the Colosseum. Every time they played, I knew that death would follow. Let's hope that it does, but not for any of us.
If we are in danger, do not come to our aid. Especially if it would endanger the lives of others. Remember, by all accounts, we are already dead.
Vivian shakes his head.
No matter what you say, you're an ally. And believe it or not, I prefer to keep those alive. As long as you breathe, you're living and of use.
As they talk, the first of the honor guard comes into view. One stood in front of the rest as if assigning themselves the role of leader. It was odd they all thought that such mindless suits had a sense of hierarchy. However, there was no time to think about such trivial things. Mere moments later, the rest of the suits gathered behind their leader. On the other side of the town square, it seemed like thousands had arrived.
It appears that we may be outnumbered. But remember, those things aren't known for their smarts. Each one of us could easily take down 100 or more.
Let's hope that you're correct.
Dominic gulps and draws his sword. Everybody behind him does the same. The sound fills the town square. Even from the opposing side, all they can hear is the unsheathing of blades. But when everybody is armed, nothing happens. They stand on opposite sides, both forces staring at each other. Dominic looks to the left and right to his allies before speaking out.
It appears they want us to make the first move. Probably so they can counter. That makes it easier. Just anticipate it, and come up with a counter of your own.
Even after his instruction, nobody makes a move. The ash in the air thickens, remnants of the monarchy showering over them. Dominic takes a few steps forward and holds his sword up in the air.
We fight to liberate those stuck under the Triumvirate's thumb, in the name of all those who have fallen, and all those who will come. A new future will dawn here today, one of happiness and peace for all.
The soldiers cheer, holding their swords up in the air as well. But soon after they fall back down, resting in a fighting position. Dominic says nothing, simply holding his sword towards the enemy. And that was enough to spring the army into action. Charging toward the honor guard, steel soon clashes against steel. Screams fill the town square as both sides meet and clash in the middle. Dominic and Hal remain behind everybody, watching the initial charge. They'd wait for an ample opening and join their army at the right time. Hal places a hand on Dominic's shoulder and gives him a soft nod.
Dominic, it is time.
In response, he gulps and looks up at Hal.
Yeah. This is it.
He catches a bunch of falling ash in his hand. After looking at it for a moment, he crushes it in a fist.
Charge!
And mere seconds later, they were lost in the crowd. Ooh, pretty. We arrive at what seems to be the summit of the mountain pass. Though we took the long way around, I could still hear fighting in Balteus. Swords clashing against swords, and the screaming of agony found only in war. We all spread out as soon as we arrived in the same spot. I was a bit ahead of everyone else, so I let them catch up. When they do, Fortum seems lost in awe at everything.
Whoa, this is so cool! That statue! I've never seen anything like it. Ulrich, what is it? Do you have any idea?
Ulrich turns to face the large, intimidating statue.
Yeah, Alestia wasn't always fully mapped out. This is an artist's depiction of the Draconic people. At least, a depiction made in fright during First Contact.
First contact?
Imagine being the first mainlander to arrive in Alarinthia. The people there reacted with hostility, attacking almost instantly. He was an unlucky man, and he fled almost as quickly as he got there.
That sounds awful.
Yeah. When he got back to Museo, he told everyone his story. But his account wasn't right. Fear can warp anything you see. Even when he was proven wrong, the design still stuck. They're often used to scare away potential visitors, so it makes perfect sense that there be one in a place like this. It's guarding a shortcut that leads right to the Triumvirate's home.
Well, it's not gonna scare me away. I have the most important task of all.
Ulrich nods as Fortum quickly walks over to me. I can tell he's frightened, but he looks hopeful as well.
I promise you, I'll make it through this. You better be in that atrium waiting for me. No way we're failing now. This is the end.
We give each other a quick hug. Perhaps our last hug. He looks around and shakes his head with a loud sigh.
Well, I guess I should get going. I need to take a different path than the rest of you. I'm not used to being on my own, but I'll manage.
Before he heads out, he hugs Valessa. They share a few words together, and then he's off on his way. His path would lead to the tower, while ours would lead directly inside.
I guess we should go too. The sound of all that fighting is really scaring me. One side has to be winning, but which one is it?
It's best not to pay it any mind. We have our own task, Valessa.
Right, of course. Wanna lead the way?
He nods and then starts walking away from us. We gather together and follow him close behind.
We're going to win this. I can feel it.
I pray with every fiber of my being that she's right. After what seems like an eternity, the Triumvirate's castle comes into view. I've never been more terrified in my life. The end was finally within reach.
Whoa.
The castle just looks just as corrupt and decaying as everything else. Almost even more so. Like it could be the source of all this death. As we get closer, I look over all the exterior. Then I see Fortim. He's climbing the tower just as directed. It's a sight to behold. If he could get to that bell tower, then this war surely would be ours. But I see him struggling. The castle was clearly his hardest climb. With no safety nets, any slip-up would be fatal. I try not to think about it as we arrive at the bridge to the castle. Much to our dismay, the bridge is covered completely in suits of armor. They turn to face us as soon as we approach. A few seconds later, they start to march toward us. They're slow. Our presence took some time to register. Normally I'd be confident. These things are easy to slay. But this was a veritable horde. Hundreds, maybe even 1,000. It must have been another group en route to the burning Grand Library.
Stay behind me. We can use this bridge to our benefit. They can't get around us or sneak out from behind. It's almost like a funnel. It should be easy.
Me and Valessa give Ulrich a firm nod. A moment later, he charges into the crowd. They stood no chance. Ulrich was too good at this. The suits start to crumble and fall apart as he crosses the bridge. Wide swings of his greatsword take out almost 10 at a time. But I notice a large portion of the horde at the back has bows. I shout to him, letting him know of the danger.
I know. Don't worry. These things have bad aim. Just grab one of those suits and use them as a shield. And wear out their numbers by killing their own.
I suppose that's a good strategy. After I unsheathe the Blade of Exodus, I step forward. My goal is to find a good opening so I can hop in and assist Ulrich. But no such opening comes. He's slaying them with unseen expertise. Me and Valessa notice the archers at the back prepare to shoot.
Quick, grab one.
We both rush forward and each disarm one of the enemies. With no means to fight us back, we hold them in place. Any arrows coming our way would hit them first. A perfect plan if that's actually what the archers were planning. Much to our shock, as the chaos on the bridge unfolds, they turn around. They're no longer aiming in our direction. They're aiming straight for Fortim.
Fortim, look out!
Her calls fall upon deaf ears. He was too far away to hear. There was no way for any of us to prevent what happened. They let their arrows fly. Some miss, but one pierces Fortim's side. Damn it. He immediately starts to lose his grip, and it appears that he may fall off. There's nothing we could do. We can't call out to him or get up there to help. I have to do something quickly. They're preparing to shoot at him again.
Quick, run along the side of the bridge. It should be wide enough to use as a path. Get back there and take out those archers.
I don't take her suggestion to heart. I have my own idea. Running forward and pushing Ulrich out of the way, I ready my sword. They'd pay for hurting my friend. Every single one of them would pay. I thrust the blade through one of the suits, then look over at Fortim. He looks so weak and delirious. Moments later, he falls from the tower. That sight alone is enough to fill me with more rage than I've ever felt before. Activating the blade, that familiar flash of white light blinds all of us. I can hear my allies struggling as if they're still fighting while blinded. But a few seconds later, I hear nothing but the shattering of every suit of armor. As the light subsides, we're greeted to the sight of victory. Every member of the honor guard on the bridge was dead. I'd absorbed them into the blade, making it even stronger.
Huh?
Monarch, did you do that?
I nod. I tell them I used the motion inside me as a catalyst. The emotion from seeing Fortum fall, perhaps to his death. As we glance over to the tower, though, I see that I was wrong. He holds on to the edge of a window and struggles to climb inside. So he wanted to drop, to fall to a window and get inside to safety. I can see that his clothes are covered in blood from the arrow wound. Eventually, he makes it inside, and we're all relieved. For a few seconds there, it seemed like all hope was lost.
Thanks for stepping in like that. My sword arm was starting to get a little tired. Come on, let's get going. We don't have much time.
Ulrich and I smile at one another. Valessa, however, has a look of shock on her face.
Oh no.
We turn to face the same direction as her. She's looking back toward the town square and the bulk of the battle. Another horde is marching in our direction, likely attracted by the light.
Just our luck.
Ulrich readies his sword. Watch them walk toward us in unison. An unease fills the air. I doubt I could deactivate all of them. I only did that thanks to the surge of emotion from seeing Fortum shot. It wouldn't be right for me to rely on something like that yet again. Part of me wonders if we should flee them inside and fight them off in the castle. But we had no idea what awaited us inside, or if Pro was even successful. Valessa steps forward, standing in front of us. She trembles, perhaps terrified of what's to come.
You need to go.
What are you talking about?
I said you need to go. Get inside the castle. Help Fortum kill the Triumvirate. Just do it. Let me keep them occupied. I'll fight them off.
I can't let you throw your life away, Valessa.
We don't have any other option. The Monarch needs you in there, Ulrich. Right now, I'm the only expendable option.
No, you're not expendable. We need you. Let me stay and fight. I know how those things work. If you give me some time, I can take them all down.
This isn't up for debate. Sorry. You need to go. And fast.
Ulrich backs down, realizing there's no point. Each second need to be filled with action, not inaction. If we've wasted time, we just hand victory over to the enemy. Valessa pulls out her mother's daggers with a gulp. I guess taking them from Mazeo is a good idea after all. My mind tells me to talk her out of this, but I say nothing. If she fought hard enough, she'd be able to survive. Those suits are weak and mindless. I feel like she'd be okay. I justify her choice in my mind, perhaps because I know it's inevitable. She wraps her arms around me and gives me a tight hug. I know that this may be the last time we see each other, and it hurts. We've come so far since our time in Valenorth, and changed so much.
Thanks for everything you've done, Monarch.
I tell her to stay safe and survive. A moment later... Excuse me, I don't know what that was for. The tight hug is broken.
Oh. Is that an order?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Then I guess they have no choice. I've never disobeyed, and I'm not about to start. I'll meet you in the atrium, after Fortum rings that bell.
And a moment later, we're both off in opposite directions. But as we head toward the castle, I can't help but look back. I'm both worried and hopeful as both sides are at war. I see her charge into the crowd, holding out her daggers. The sound of her stabbing the suits soon fills the air. They fall apart and hit the ground with loud thuds.
Come on! I could do this all day!
Whoa! New expression for Valessa! With a smirk on my face, I realize our victory is clear. We retreat into the castle and the sight makes my jaw drop. The castle is hauntingly beautiful, like nothing I've seen before. As we venture forward, I can only hope that Pro was successful. The bell hasn't rung yet, but I have the utmost faith in Fortum's ability. I let out a deep sigh of relief. I'm here, in their castle. This is the end. Whoa. Eventually, Pro and Grizz's path leads them to a large hallway. Plenty of open space to fight and destroy the horde in pursuit of them. The distraction worked perfectly. Now they just had to deal with the company.
Pro, what weapons do you have?
Grizz readies his large warhammer.
Daggers. My favorite. Up close and personal.
He draws them and stands beside Grizz.
So, you've fought these things before?
Yeah, plenty of times. It'll be a piece of cake. Trust me.
Right.
A few moments pass and the honor guard finally catches up with them. The horde seems to have tripled in size. Everything was going their way. At this rate, the monarch should have almost no opposition at all.
Be mindful of where you stand, Pro. If this hammer is good at anything, it's crowd control. I don't want to hit you while I'm fighting off the enemy.
Yeah, got it. I'll stay low and out of your way.
Grizz nods and they stand side by side as enemies fill the room.
Ready?
I like that his warhammer is fashioned into the two ram's horns. Like he's got another sign of the stuff he left, of the life he left behind. Bro gulps.
Let's do this.
They charge into the crowd and the fight begins. Bro makes sure to stay below shoulder height as Grizz swings his hammer. He takes out about 10 or more suits with every swing of that mighty weapon. Pro rolls on the floor, taking them out with precise stabs to the abdomen. Shattering like glass, the suits are falling at a rate that guarantees their victory. Both men pant from exertion as they fight what was hopefully their last fight. For peace in all of Alestia, all they had to do was prevail. As the crowd thins out, they press their backs against one another. The enemies may be swinging their sword, but they landed no hits.
So, this is what I was meant to do.
Huh?
Grizz swings his hammer, taking out 10 more. Then seconds later, they're back to back once again.
Back in Mazeo, I was ready to throw my life away. You know, to atone for what I did in the Triumvirate's name. I'm glad that I didn't. I was meant to end them, not myself.
Pro smiles at his ally.
I'm glad you made the right choice then.
He lunges forward, continuing to kill the suits of armor. Grizz scoffs, a wide smile appearing on his face as he fights.
No, not me. It's all thanks to the Monarch.
The battle continues, but the enemy stood no chance. They were killing the suits faster than they entered the room. After what seemed like an eternity, they entered no more. Pro falls to his knees, struggling to catch his breath. Even Grizz seems winding as well. What a thrilling dance that was. However, as they learn moments later, it's not yet come to an end. Another group of hordes starts making its way into the large hallway. They laugh. Of course, this wouldn't be as easy as they thought. Charging into the crowd again, the fight continues, almost endless.
There's too many of them! We need to do something and fast!
There's nothing we can do. Just stand your ground. Keep fighting.
The swings and stabs become weaker with each passing moment. What was once a certain victory is now falling apart in the face of exertion. But they don't give up. Never accept defeat, not until the very end. Their first rule of any good gambler. And with their lives on chips in the table, they continued to play. The floor becoming a sea of white and gold in the wake of their rage. All they had to do was pray that they didn't drown in it. As their strength dwindled, they kept fighting, never giving up. The determination saw them through, right to the bitter end. Fuck, I hope that doesn't mean a downer. Oh, this is bad. Oh, are they gonna do all threat? Like, oh, are they gonna get it? Howl's completely surrounded, fighting to the best of his efforts. A one-on-one fight would be no problem, but this was too much. In total, there must be tens of thousands of honor guard here. Fighting with his fists, he punches the suits of armor into pieces. He preferred to use his own body as a weapon rather than anything else. Other people fought with extensions of their body, but he needed none of that. In this moment, Howl was thankful that all of his power remained intact. Had the monarch heeded his request, he surely would be close to death. Thankful for that fact, he fought on with ever-increasing sense of determination. Domik was nowhere to be seen, but Howl hoped that he was still alive. There were so many suits of armor that it was impossible to keep track. One stray arrow, one thrown dagger, or one sneak attack, and it was over. As he punched through the suits of armor, he finally saw an ally. Changing the direction of his assault, he fought his way toward them. Greeting them with a smile was a relief to see a friendly face once again.
Hal, watch out!
Vivian jumps behind Hal, taking up a suit that was sneaking on him. Thanking his ally, Hal responded by doing the same, but behind Vivian. No matter where they stood, there was always an enemy in pursuit. Arrows fly overhead every few seconds. The enemy archers were skilled. Hal couldn't see, but he knew those arrows hit home on his allies. With his back pressed against Vivian, their rears are finally protected.
Vivian, status report. How are your men doing?
Not good, last time I checked. There's just too many of them, Hal. All we can do is wait for that bell to ring.
And if it doesn't?
Vivian lunges forward, taking out several suits of armor. Then a moment later, he presses his back against Hal again.
Then this is it for us.
The despair in his voice was clear. They could keep fighting, but things were looking bad. Even if each man killed 100 suits, they'd still be outnumbered. Hal shakes his head, freeing himself from the onslaught of ash. The library is still ablaze, rained remnants of the monarchy upon them. The honor guard seemed unimpeded by this, but not the rebellion. It was almost as if when the suits fought together they shared one mind. This caused them to be weak on their own, but formidable as a group. However, it meant the more they killed, the weaker their enemy became.
Vivian, do not give up so easily. You are set to rule the strongest nation in the world. We cannot have you return home with stories of lost hope.
As they talk, they keep fighting. The enemy never lets up for a second.
Then we better find it again. And fast.
Arrows fly through the air once more and screams fill the air. They knew their forces were dying. The suits had no need to scream. Hal wasn't even sure if they felt pain or feared their own demise. And he wondered if those things would be a weakness or a strength. His knuckles become bloody and cracked as they fight for their lives. They continue to protect each other, fighting as if they were one body.
We need to change up our strategy. If we don't, then they'll outsmart us.
Vivian didn't respond.
Vivian?
Vivian shakes his head, panting heavily.
Sorry. It's just taking a lot out of me. I think I need to get back to the library.
Will you be okay on your own?
Yeah, I'll be fine. Will you?
Yeah, go now, while you have an opening. We will continue to fight them off.
Vivian nods, then runs off toward the library. Soon enough, he disappears into the crowd of suits. Hal's back is vulnerable once more, but he still fights. All he can do is face the enemy and his fate head on. Charging out into the crowd with a scream, rage wells up within him. There are no allies to be seen, just target after target waiting to be killed. And that's what happens next. He shatters the enemies like weak glass. They fall to the ground, leaving a trail of carnage in his wake. He had killed more than his fair share and still went on. Eventually, a barrage of arrows assaults him. Piercing through his torso, he grunts in immense pain. However, the pain was minimal compared to the pain he normally felt. He pulls out the arrows and throws them down on the ground. Blood spills from the wounds, but he shows no signs of pain. Such wounds would do nothing to a body powered by the monarchy. All he had to do was fight until the bell was rung. But that was the question on everybody's minds right now. With such an immense task before him, would Fortem succeed? It seemed that right now almost everything lay in his hands. Hal fought ruthlessly, hoping to hear the bell and find relief. But with each passing second, the hope within him dwindled. Fortem pants heavily, panicking with an arrow in his side. He knew that if he pulled it out, things would only get worse. It would be best to keep it inside until they could find some help. It wouldn't be fatal, so that gave him great relief on its own. Hiding in a spare room, he found he needed to take a breather. It was perfect timing as Suit started to scurry around outside.
It can't be too far away. How high up does this castle even go?
He shakes his head, realizing there was only one way to find out. But as he goes to sneak out of the room, he bumps into a table. A bottle of wine falls off the side and shatters with an echo. His entire body tenses up as he hears the honor guard stop moving. He runs to the other side of the room and hides behind a curtain. It would have been easy to sneak around him if not for the wine. Now, every single suit of armor in that hallway would know he's here. He remains as still as possible as one of them enters the room to scout. The suit kneels down to inspect the broken glass, then looks over to the curtain. What did I do, Shane? I let him survive. His cover was blown. He made a small trail of wine with his footsteps. He holds his breath as the suit of armor makes his way to his location. Then, a few moments later, it plunges its sword right into the curtain. Fortin dodges to the left, then rips the curtain down from the wall. Sorry, I was trying to do Vogue. Not a problem. Wrapping it around the suit of armor, he has it in a strong chokehold. He hesitates it for a few moments, then snaps his enemy's neck. The suit crumbles, but has nowhere to fall, being held together by the curtain. He slowly rests it on the ground. This was his first real fight. His first kill. If he survived hearing that bell, he knew he would never be the same. He slowly unravels the curtain and grabs the sword belonging to the suit. As soon as he does, more of them enter the room to check up on their ally. Fortin wondered if they felt emotion, if they mourned the suit he killed. They drew their swords, but Fortin wasn't sure what prompted it. Anger at their dead ally, or perhaps blind loyalty to the triumvirate. He'd never know. In that moment, he realized it was for the best. Sword clashed against sword as he fought for his life. But not just his. Almost everybody else's lives were at stake, too. They were relying on him to ring that bell, and he couldn't let them down. All he had to do was survive. When we get inside the castle, I notice that it's completely empty. I'm filled with hope. Pro must have been successful with his distraction. Otherwise, this place would be teeming with those suits of armor. All we had to do was make our way to the top and take them down. With the triumvirate dead and the bell rung, victory was ours. I cross my fingers, hoping that Fortin's travels are going well.
Wow. I haven't been to this place in ages. It doesn't look any different, though. Just as uninviting. We want to go right up those stairs, Monarch. This is it.
I'm saving. There hasn't been a choice yet, but I'm saving just in case. Yeah, the panic's coming in now. Like, oh god, oh god, oh god, I hope all the choices I made were at least mostly correct. Hopeful. I really missed out by not bringing Sylvie. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking it, but I don't know. I nod. He was right. This was the end of our journey. After everything I've been through, I was finally in their castle. I start walking toward the stairs. My next actions were clear.
Hey, not so fast. You should let me take point. I know the layout of this castle and where to go. It gets a bit confusing up there. Trust me on that.
Confusing? How so?
Let's just say there's lots of stairs coming up. And be careful, alright? We don't want to fall into a trap. We're in their territory now. An ambush would be child's play.
Not a second later, somebody enters the room from the opposite side. It's that man with the from our HQ. The one with Sylvie, clad in white and gold. He descends the stairs, laughing at us. A horde of suits follows.
Ambush? No, I don't play cheap, not like Sylvie. I'd merely like to call this a welcoming party of sorts. An ambush is unexpected. Surely you knew I'd be here.
I unsheath my blade and hold it out towards our enemy. There was no time to argue semantics with the likes of him. But if to guard me, Ulrich steps forward, getting in the way.
Look, we don't need to fight you. I know what you are. A slave to the Triumvirate. We can fix that, Halen. We can remove the curse.
It would never work. Halen was under their thrall. Even considering this offer would be an act of defiance. Instead of responding, Halen disappears into the crowd of suits.
Curse? You called this a curse? I embody the Triumvirate's will and command their army. You are the cursed ones. You fight for the dream of a fool.
The suits of armor reach the bottom of the stairs. But Halen is nowhere to be seen. We just hear his voice. He must have used the confusion of the crowd to escape.
You stand in the realm of gods now. It is time you spoke with your resolve. If it is strong enough, then you will find me.
Yanagard draws their swords as Halen's laughter fills the room.
And if it is not, then you will perish. So do it. Show me the determination of your rebellion. Speak against your gods and see how they answer.
At Halen's command, the honor guard charges in our direction. Ulrich is the first to fight, using that massive greatsword to protect me. I think they're still god pretenders, but I make sure to play my part. But I take them down with similar ease. The suits of armor stood no chance against the Blade of Exodus. But in this case, they also stood no chance against Ulrich. I'm confident in our victory, but I try not to get cocky. It seemed like there were almost 1,000 suits of armor here. Though we're doing good now, our bodies could easily weaken. A viable tactic. Wear out your enemy with excessive numbers. As we fight, we find ourselves surrounded more and more. The honor guard seems to have herded us into a specific location. Standing back to back with Ulrich, we pant heavily, a panic rising within us.
I have an idea, Monarch.
I tilt my head towards Ulrich to signal that I'm listening. Much to my surprise, he sheathes his greatsword.
Think of me as an extension of your body. Open your mind, and trust me.
I'm confused, but I nod. There's no time to talk. There's closing in on us. I lunge forward and destroy one of the suits. I apologize, but none of those names make sense. Are they possibly from the Major Minor visual novel? Because I have never played that.
Now it's my turn.
The blade disappears from my hands and appears in Ulrich's. He uses it to slice through the suits that were closing in on him. As if passing a baton, the blade phases back into my
I haven't
hands.
fought like this in ages. Really gets your blood boiling, doesn't it?
Yeah, still not familiar with them, sorry. We're pressed back to back and we keep exchanging the blade. Phasing it from person to person as needed, we're almost one mind. Like an intricately choreographed dance, we continue to fight.
Takes me back to my time with Sovi. Perfect teamwork. Almost unstoppable.
With each passing second, we thin out the horde. The numbers are easily halved, then they do so again and again. I let Ulrich take the blade again, and we keep passing it back and forth.
I wish they had the courage to face us in person. All they can do is hide behind their mindless slaves.
I could feel it. The triumvirate was scared of us. In the end, all tyrants could do is cower in fright. They knew they had lost and mean to buy time. But that wasn't a luxury we were selling. As the last suit of armor falls, we too fall to our knees. Panting heavily, we realize just how much of a fight we put up. I'll never forget this moment. Not for the rest of my life. Fighting side by side with another Exodus wielder? If I were the triumvirate, I'd be very, very afraid. It feels like an eternity before I can rise to my feet again. But when I do, I sheathe the blade and look over at Ulrich. He was staring at the stairs, our next objective.
If we get into a bind, let's just do the same thing. That blade and our connection is our greatest weapon.
I nod.
And something tells me we'll be needing it when we face Halen. Are you ready to go upstairs? He's all that stands in our way.
I nod once more.
Good, then let's go. Remember, if you get the chance, save him. I understand if you can't, but he deserves freedom.
It's true. Everybody deserved to be free from the triumvirate. But Halen wasn't willing. We'd have to force him somehow. And if we couldn't, then unfortunately I'd have to kill him. We make our way upstairs in pursuit of Halen. After what just happened, I was certain we'd win this. With our strength combined, nothing could stand in our way. Whoa. The first thing I see is stairs. Lots and lots of stairs. They lead upwards and in every conceivable direction. I knew I was told there'd be lots of stairs, but this is insane. The second thing I notice is the complete lack of Halen. Had he fleed up those staircases? Fleed? Isn't that supposed to be fled? Had he fled up those staircases, where could he be? Actually, I'm starting to wonder how he disappeared like that. If he was made from the blade, could he phase around as well? I hope that's not the case. That would prove far too tricky. However, due to his loyalty, I know he'd be in for a fight. Destroyed suits of armor and their swords line the floor. This must have been the remnant of a previous fight. Perhaps Fortim or Pro came here before us.
Be careful, Monarch. This could be tricky. Remember that Halen can wield the blade, just like us. In fact, since he was made from it, his affinity could be stronger.
I am still saving every once in a while just because I have no idea if there's gonna be a thing that comes up.
He's backed into a corner, so we don't know how he'll react. I wouldn't be surprised if he resorted to some sort of trap. A cornered man is always desperate in his final moments.
Okay, there were 2 Ulrichs on screen there for a second. I nod. That was good advice. I take it to heart as we walk toward the stairs. We hear Halen's voice but can't see him at all.
Well then, perhaps you're stronger than I thought. No matter though. I've been waiting for a worthy opponent. I'll savor killing you, Monarch. Every single moment.
No, there was just an Ulrich over here and an Ulrich over here, but everything's fine. That's when I finally see him, on one of the many flights of stairs. He's slowly making his way down, almost as if he's buying some time. I move to meet him halfway, but suddenly there's no need to move at all.
Monarch, look out!
Almost instinctively, I lower myself as close to the ground as possible. From behind, a massive sword is swung. It came close to removing my head. I turn around, greeted to the sight of Halen. So he can move around like that.
Saved by your friends, as always. I wonder how you'd handle things on your own. What do you say? Want to put that to the test?
Ulrich steps forward, interrupting before I can respond.
We don't have time for your games, Halen. We will give you one chance. Surrender or die.
And who says you get to call the shots? Remember, I exist to manifest the Triumvirate's will, and right now, what they want is to see you all dead.
Halen draws another sword, holding out 2 large blades.
I've never let them down, and I don't plan on starting. You think you're special? That you're here to seize your destiny? No, you're nothing more than another insect for me to crush. You may have made it farther than most, but it doesn't matter. Even atop the highest mountain, an insect is still an insect. A being that exists for one purpose. To be exterminated!
One? Really liking this sword design here. It looks cool. And also that on top of a neat sprite for Halen, but a being that exists for one purpose? Halen, have you not heard of a bee? He charges toward me and I do the same. Pulling out the blade of Exodus, our swords clash as we meet. They meet again and again, the echo filling the room as we fight. His strength is astounding, as well as his speed. Do you mean wasps? No, I mean a bee. A bee as in a pollinator. A bee as in makes honey. A bee as in does things that require, that essentially keep half the world's plants surviving. Yes, that is why I meant bee. You make honey. They're pollinators, which means they carry pollen from one plant to another. They feed on a whole bunch of. They take the pollen from plants that are frequently used in like home gardens and in farms. So yeah, they have a definite purpose. Wasps don't. Wasps suck. Yeah, wasps and yellow jackets are just assholes with wings. I'm reminded of a Twitter post I saw. I forget who the person is, because I think... Yeah, no, it's been a while since I saw it. But yeah, it's like... A person sees a carpenter bee. The bee goes, "Hey, I'm just getting grass for my nest." Person goes, "Yeah, go ahead and do that, bee." A honeybee comes by. "Hey, I'm just gathering pollen for my hive." "Go ahead and do so, bee." A bumblebee comes by and just keeps knocking itself into walls and stuff, and like, "Sorry, I'm just trying to get around. No problem, bee." And then a wasp come by. "I'll see them in hell. You tell them who sent you." Yeah, that is my opinion of wasps in a nutshell. I think that's very common though. It's hilarious Twitter. It's a hilarious Twitter post. I wish I knew who the poster was, but it's been a very long time since I saw it. Anyway, his strength is astounding as well as his speed. I've never seen a man fight with two swords quite so gracefully. He tries to trick me with fake swings and sudden movements. But I'll have to try harder than that. I counter him with ease. This dance continues and we show no signs of tiring out. At this rate, death would come to whoever slipped up first. But I can't slip up. I have to win and take down the triumvirate. The sword belonged to me. I was the rightful heir to the throne. Hain was just some lackey to some power-hungry group of 3. If there was any justice in the world, then I would prevail. Perhaps I let that get to my head. This allows Halen to land a blow. Thrusting his blade into my shoulder, he twists it, then pulls it out. It was a wound that would prove to be harmless in the long run, but the pain is so intense that all I can do is stand there, stiff and motionless. My blood drips to the floor, and I take a few steps back, losing balance.
Monarch!
Ulrich lunges forward, and he pushes me to the ground. Phasing the blade into his hands, he blocks Halen's next attack. I bleed on the floor as I watch Ulrich fight the Triumvirate's right hand.
You're certainly stronger than Sovi. It's a shame that you defected. I could use you.
Defected? No, I simply chose the right path. And you can do that too, Halen. It's not too late.
Halen laughs, and they continue to fight. Swords clash, but Ulrich clearly has the edge.
There is no passion in serving the Triumvirate. They take everything away. They bleed you dry. And what's worse, they give nothing in return. The rebellion gave me everything I needed. A family, a home, a place in this world. I belong to them now, and that's final.
Halen shakes his head.
You're a fool. They seduce you with flights of fancy. You ran to the first group that made you feel a sense of purpose. Do you honestly think that he is the rightful ruler of Alestia?
Correction, he went to the second. The first one was the Triumvirate, dumbass. Ulrich nods.
Without a doubt, I'd give my life for the Monarch. The truth of the spirit realm only proves that I'm correct. They told Sovi, and look at what happened. Think, Halen. I'm not weak. My loyalty was just different from yours. While I want to serve Alestia, you want to serve the Triumvirate. But they made you that way. We can change you, if you'll let us.
They continue to fight as they argue with one another.
No, I want to serve them. You run away while I stand tall and remain in line. How can you say you're not weak after what you've done?
Ulrich lowers his sword, signaling his intent to stop fighting.
Are you willing to bet on that?
Halen still holds his sword up to guard himself.
Let the Monarch remove the curse that they put on you. If you still want to serve them, then we can continue to fight. And if not, then you'll realize that you were wrong all along.
No, I can't.
Halen looks scared, like he's fighting with himself. That moment of hesitation is all that Ulrich needs. He uses the pommel of his sword as a weapon. Smashing it into Halen's head, he knocks him into a daze. He falls forward, but Ulrich catches him in his arms.
Monarch, do it now. I don't care what it is. Just do it.
I think we're about to have a choice. He turns Halen around and lowers him to his knees. Putting him into a chokehold, he tries to break free, but he's too weak. Blood drips down his face. Ulrich clearly wasn't holding back. There's no way Halen could fight back now. I could kill him with no difficulty at all, but I could also save him. If I removed the curse in his mind, maybe he'd serve our cause instead. But was that worth the risk? Something tells me I don't have much time to decide. If Ulrich held him like that for too long, he'd be dead for sure. All right. I think this is our final choice. Because we have 60-30, that means this last one is going to be 10%. Do we kill or liberate Halen? Unless there's disagreement of the... What are you going to pick? I'm thinking liberate. I'm thinking free. Okay. I'm gonna try. I had to liberate Halen. I had to let him survive and give him a chance. If he still chose to oppose us, then we could execute him after the war. But as long as his conversion was a possibility, I had to take a chance. I tell Ulrich to release the chokehold but hold Halen in place. He obeys without hesitation, and I slowly make my way over to him. Pressing the blade against Halen's chest, I ask it to give him his freedom. A few seconds later, Halen falls to the ground, unconscious. I have him carried over to a safe spot where he could recover in silence. If and when he woke up, I hoped it would be as a new, smarter man. With that out of the way, we had to make our way up those stairs. Oh yeah, what's our final ratings? 60-40. That was an extra 10 to corruption. Within a few more minutes, I'd be face to face with our enemy. It was time to rise to the challenge and change this world.
Hey, before we head up, can you do me a favor? And don't question it, just trust me, okay?
I nod without hiding the fact that I'm a bit confused.
Here.
He reaches behind me and adjusts my scabbard. I'm not sure why, but he switches it to the other side. I'm not left-handed, so that only made things awkward. But I choose to trust him as I always have.
Thank you.
And a second later, we're making our way up the stairs. All he had to do was dethrone the triumvirate. Simple enough. After that, I'd meet my friends of the atrium. At least the ones that survived. Please give Sylvia a chance, you will not regret it. Dominic fights for his life in the town square, surrounded by suits of armor. He's lost sight of allies and is unable to tell if they're even still alive. Still, he fights on. He never give up, not when he's this close to the end. That bell would surely ring any minute and bring an end to war. If the monarch followed through, then this world belonged to them. This is the fact that kept him fighting, even as his hope was lost. Oh, we must have mailmen going by, because I hear the dog barking like crazy. He doesn't change it too much, thankfully. He's just loud to me. Fatigue started to settle in, making him move slower. As suits of armor fell, so did his strength and resolve. He was surrounded, fighting in every direction.
Come on, 14, we can't hold the town square forever.
And just then, an arrow pierces through his shoulder. He stumbles back and falls to his knees before pushing it out. The pain was minuscule compared to what he felt back in Mazeo. Rising up, he starts to fight with anger as well as determination. In a rage, he takes down the suits of armor even faster than before. Another arrow pierces his upper body, but nothing could stop him now. Keeping this arrow in, he grabs another sword that lay on the ground. Fighting with two of them, he's able to guard himself more efficiently. The suits of armor are arriving faster than he can kill them, however. Soon enough, he was surrounded by more suits than he could hope to kill. With no allies around him to come to his aid, he knew that things were dire. If Fortin didn't ring that bell, then this could very well be his final stand. He throws a second sword to the ground and takes a deep breath. He was prepared to face his death. This somehow made him stronger. The pain from the arrow only served to push him to more extremes.
I guess it's time.
His fighting starts to become more desperate as tears blur his vision. The fact that he couldn't see any of his friends just hurt him even more. He had to assume that everybody around him had fallen during battle.
Stay back! I'm warning you!
He held out his sword as if to threaten. His hand trembles. The honor guard did not heed his warning, and they close in on him. Having no choice but to continue fighting, he lets out labored grunts. Through his blurred vision, he's almost unable to make out anything. His saving grace is the contrast to the white suits over Balteus' decay. Using that as a guide, he's able to keep taking down his enemies. He tries fighting his way in the direction of the archers. Those were more of a threat to him than the suits with swords. In fact, he was certain that those archers had killed quite a few men. Unfortunately, he may be the next one added to their count. An arrow is shot through his gut, and he screams, falling back. Not a grievous wound, but he's immediately caught off guard. Something smashes into the back of his head, and he collapses. Turning around, he sees the suit, holding a rock covered in his blood. An open wound to the back of the head starts staining the ground.
What?
He writhes on the ground in pain and confusion. The suit kneels down and grabs a sword from the ground. It was the same one that Domek had discarded moments earlier. He's surprised to see that the rest of the honor guard stands down, as if they acknowledged this one had deserved to deal the final blow. Domek cries, looking up in horror as the suit raises up the sword. But before they can follow through with their thrust, something happens. An arrow pierces through the suit of armor, and it crumbles to the ground. Domek looks around in confusion. Had an ally finally come to his aid?
Domek, give me your hand.
Oh, shit! Shane. Domek cries out softly, not sure what's going on. Last time he saw Shane and tried to kill him and basically succeeded. But here he was now, offering his hand. What was happening?
Domek, quick! You don't have much time.
Domek shakes his head, but then realizes he has no other option. Grabbing Shane's hand, he accepts the help and rises to his feet. He stumbles forward, almost falling back down, but he doesn't. He presses his back against Shane, still a bit delirious. But his friend supports him as he draws a set of daggers. Confusion assails Domek as everything was happening so fast.
There. We're even now.
Domek nods.
So what do you say, Domek? Fight? Just like old times?
Domek nods again and he raises his sword. A moment later, they both charge towards the suits of armor. Like a team, and like friends, they fight together once more.
Just keep it up, Domek. I'll patch you up as soon as we're safe.
Shane, talk to me. Why are you doing this?
But Shane doesn't answer. At least, not before the bell is rung. A loud ringing fills the air, delivering the sound of hope to Domek's ears. Fortim has achieved his goal. Them and his allies still lived. Domek goes to keep fighting, but Shane holds him back.
Domek, no! Look! It's over.
The honor guard turns to stare at the source of the ringing. Then they throw their swords to the ground without hesitation. Starting to march away, they abandon all their previous efforts.
We did it. I can't believe this.
Without a word, Shane just stands there alone with Domek. Together as the ash rains down upon them, they watch their foes flee. Domek smiles, a few tears running down his face. Was it all really over? No, that wasn't the right way of looking at it. Things had just begun. The monarch had to finish it all. Domek looked in the direction of the castle as hope rises within him.
Monarch, good luck. We're all counting on you.
The town square is soon devoid of all foes. But now, without obstructed vision, Domek can see all of his allies. They raise their swords in the air and start cheering. Balteus was theirs. And soon the lives of the triumvirate would be theirs as well. They cheer the monarch's name, and then that's all Domek can hear. That's all he needs to hear. For the name of the monarch meant hope. Saving one more time before we go. Whoa, whoa, hello. The ringing of the bell echoes in my ears. It's almost deafening. I'm relieved to know that Fortim survived and succeeded. Me and Ulrich stand in the darkness, and it's hard to see.
Here, you'll be needing this.
He hands me a torch that was hung against the wall.
And watch your step as we go up those stairs. If you fall off the edge, well, you know how high we are.
I nod. The thought filled me with fright. I hold out the torch and see the bizarre sight before me. The walls are lined with gears, just like those on the blade. Excuse me. They spin and rotate in directions that they shouldn't. It makes no sense to me. But then again, neither does the blade. The gear on the base spun in a way that was impossible too. Fog lines the stairs leading up to the triumvirate's chambers. I was confident a moment ago, but the sight fills me with unease. I'd never seen anything like it. It's very concerning to me. I couldn't see the edges of the stairs, and there was no railing. The slightest stumble could send me right back down to the atrium. I do need to go back there, but that's not the way I'd like to do it.
I have a piece of advice for you, Monarch. Don't let them talk to you. Just kill them without question. All they'll do is try to justify their actions and earn your sympathy. They prey on the minds of the weak, of those that they can mold. I know you're strong, but they just have this way of convincing you. I'd hate to see that happen to you. So remember, kill them all.
I tell them that I don't care what they say to me. I'm here to kill them. They could speak to me all they wished. They'd accomplish nothing. An easy goal to have in mind, but in practice I guess I had no idea. I'd have to find out, however. Someone steps out of the room ahead of us. As they move toward us, I can see the white and gold... Gold? I think that's supposed to be gold of their cloak. One of them left their chambers. I thought they didn't do that.
Ulrich, this is quite a surprise. It's been ages since we've seen your face. Have you come to grovel in the face of your defeat?
I've come here to end this war. I bring an offering. The blade and the monarch. Do with him what you will, but I ask for your surrender.
I'm going to guess this is a gambit.
Leave this world and never return. Live your lives in peace.
Okay, yeah,
Somewhere
he's giving him an ultimatum.
Just stay out of our business and leave us alone.
What? Ulrich was selling me out. I turn and try to run, but he immediately grabs my left arm. I'm filled with fright, but I'm not strong enough to break free from his grip.
You've done nothing but bring an armed enemy into our home. What makes you think we can trust you? This is surely a trap. As long as the monarch can wield that blade, they are a threat.
Oh! Oh! I think I know what he's gonna do. Okay, yeah, nope. He's got a thing planned out like 5 steps ahead of time, but oh, I wish he'd told me beforehand. Ulrich scoffs.
Then let me fix that.
A second after, Ulrich phases the blade into his hands. Then, much to my regret, he slices through my arm with ease. I scream, and then from the elbow down, almost nothing remains.
There, look how easy that was. Never again can that blade be used against you. Now do what I said. Surrender, and leave this world.
Ulrich? Ulrich? I sincerely wish your plans did not involve maiming me or hurting me in some way. But if you just did what I think you did, you are fucking brilliant. I don't feel anything. Almost if my body numbs itself from the trauma. But the sight is all too real. My lower arm, limp and dead on the floor. Blood spurts from the wound, and I look at Ulrich in disbelief. He makes direct eye contact with me and then looks at the torch. I'm still gripping it tightly. And that's when things make sense. Was he trying to fool them? I still have use of my good arm. I slump against the wall and use the torch to burn the wound shut. A disgusting smell fills the air, and I can hear cracking and sizzling. This is all I can do while I watch Ulrich ascend the stairs with the blade.
How surprising. You've changed, Ulrich. We thought your allegiance to the rebellion was absolute.
No, it's my allegiance to Alestia that takes priority. This senseless war will only end up destroying the world. One life means nothing to me if it allows this land to flourish.
The triumvir looks down at my scabbard. They definitely believe Ulrich removed my dominant arm. I don't know why any of this is happening, but I let it all unfold. I trust Ulrich and know he's doing this for a reason.
A generous offer, but one we cannot accept. Surely you know the truth now, after everything you've seen. The monarchy, and those that follow their path, lead worlds to ruin.
Ulrich continues up the stairs, gripping the blade as tight as he can.
We request that you join us once more, Ulrich. It would appear that Halen, Shane, and Sophie have let us down. You can make the right choice. Join our ranks and save the world.
Ulrich lets out a loud sigh, like he's considering their offer.
And what would you have me do?
As he speaks, he reaches the top of the stairs and faces the triumvir. By now, I'm almost coherent again, and the wound bleeds no more. Burnt shut. I watch the two of them converse, wondering what exactly is going to happen.
Kneel and pledge your loyalty to our cause. Then, turn the blade on the monarch and take his soul. There's a reason we need both his power and that blade. If you can do that, then all will be forgiven. You see, Ulrich, the monarch is the key to saving us all. He would waste his power, while we plan to harness it correctly.
What do you mean?
Do as we say, and we will tell you everything. Even the things we could not tell you in the past.
Ulrich immediately drops the blade to his side and kneels down. It hits to the ground with a loud metallic clang, then rests there, motionless.
Good. We are glad you realize the error of your ways. Siding with the rebellion is foolish. It is a waste of your talent. With us, you will finally be back on the right side of history.
Yes, Master, of course. My loyalty is forever yours. As the Grand Inquisitor, I have only one goal: to remove any threat that faces the throne.
Lord help this still be a cabinet! The panic is real. Ulrich grins as he says those words.
Starting with you.
A moment later, the blade disappears from the ground. But it doesn't return to Ulrich's hands or even mine. It phases... It phases directly through the chest of the triumvir. Holy shit! He rises to his feet and grips the handle of the blade. I knew I could trust him. I knew he had a plan. I'm so thankful he wasn't betraying me.
You think I believed you? Foolish as always. You let your guard down at the first sign of obedience. The right side of history. Don't make me laugh.
Ulrich.
You used a powerful blade in order to play God, but now it's in the hands of the monarch, a righteous man. He will undo all that you've done and liberate Alestia.
A moment later, he pulls out the blade.
You've held the world in chains for far too long, and now it's finally time that they were broken.
Yeah. See, what I'd have to say here is that the main clue that something is fucking wrong, the main clue that you can have that somebody is fucking wrong here, is that before ever even knowing about the monarch, about the seer, Ulrich defected. What makes you think, after experiencing your assholetry for years, that within the space of a few days since this whole thing started, he's going to come back to you? Then, with a harsh kick, the triumvir flies off the edge. I can hear them scream as they fall, and then the screams fade. I'm in a complete disbelief. He killed one of them. Was it truly that easy? Ulrich drops the blade to the ground, and I summon it back into my grip. As I make my way up the stairs, my anger toward him is very clear.
Look, I had to do it. A direct attack would have been suicide. We had to make them lower their guard and think that they were winning. An act of betrayal and a pledge of fealty, it's all I could think of doing.
I start to speak, but he cuts me off immediately.
I don't care what you have to say. Not right now. Get in those chambers and finish this once and for all. There's still 2 left, and you're only giving them time to prepare.
With a sigh of regret, I realize there's nothing I can do. I sheathed the blade and slowly entered the Triumvirate's chambers. We'd have plenty of time to talk later. I had to see this through to the end. Either the end of the Triumvirate, or the end of myself. This is it. When I enter their chambers, it looks just like I remember it. I've been here before. I've had visions of standing in this very spot. In those visions, I remember walking toward the idol in the back. I can feel the blade respond to this room, but I'm not sure why. It's not moving or anything. Just a feeling deep in my gut. As I go to grab the blade, I hear a loud voice call out to me.
Stop.
Then, out of nowhere, I see 2 cloaks appear by the idol. One of them stays in place and the other walks toward me. The one at the back was surely my target and their leader.
Do not draw that blade unless you intend to use it. That idol will respond to your aggression and fight back. We will not harm you. We brought you here for another reason.
Another reason? What could it be? I knew I was told not to let them speak, but I'm curious. Assuming a neutral stance, I asked them to explain themselves.
That is a tall order, Monarch.
I noticed they used my proper title. This moment, however, there was no room left for doubt. Everything Hal told us about the Triumvirate was true. They don't speak. They just stand there in silence. If I had anything to ask them, I guess now would be the time to do it. However, earlier warnings echo in my ears. Warnings against letting them speak. I am tempted to speak. I am also tempted to just say fuck it. Because what happened to Howl? Last I saw him, he was flying off in a bit of a rage. Or do you mean in general? Because last scene that they cut to him, he was talking with Vivian, and then as he couldn't see allies, he just started going crazy through the middle of town. Okay. So what I want to do is an experiment. I'm going to pick one option, and I'm going to see if it stays or if it, like, changes. So it's enough talk. Let's finish this now. I'm going to ask the one question that hasn't exactly been answered.
Well, true evil can almost never be fully defeated. Though heroes of the past stood victorious over evil, it was temporary. In the future, sometimes even millions of years ahead, the evil returned. And now it stands before you, corrupting the very heart of Alessia. But this is not the first world it has harmed, and it plans to keep moving. We follow it, with that blade, and save innocent worlds from its wrath. Look at the dying Balteus. It would deliver that fate to every single world. Rather than temporarily cast the idol away, we decided to settle down on this planet. Our goal was to find a way to destroy both the idol and the blade, for good. Doing so would liberate the universe from this eternal war. But we did not hold the power required to destroy the idol. Not yet. If we could make the blade stronger, though, then we might stand a chance. If it could match the strength of the idol, then that could be it. The energy unleashed in such a moment would destroy both for sure. Since the blade fed on life, we would have to start relying on others.
I don't think it changed. Experiment 2. Whoops. 7's our last. Yeah, so it's this one. Oh, did anything change after talking? No.
They had planned to use this idol as a source of power, perhaps to aid in their conquest of other worlds. The universe belonged to them, they thought. But wielding the power of evil incarnate would only lead to ruin. We couldn't let them continue down a path as dangerous as that. So we cast them aside, in an astral prison using that blade. And as we did, we created new life on Alessia. A new, pure species that would keep on reproducing. A breeding ground of power for that blade to harvest. If we could make that blade strong enough, then we'd win. But even then, we couldn't gather power fast enough. The idol started corrupting and killing Balteus. We had to think of something, and fast. It led us down a path that we did not want to walk. But in order to create peace, it was necessary.
Okay, so purity and corruption aren't exactly changing. And I've learned 2 pieces of information that make them seem like they have a noble goal, but the way that they're carrying it out is literally like the most bullshit. I might regret doing this later, but that was enough talk. I came here to kill them, and that's what I'd do. No matter what they had to say, they couldn't talk themselves free. They hurt my world and my friends. I'd make them suffer.
The mind can suffer when stuck in the same time and place. History repeating itself can be far more than maddening. We try to break free from the cycle, but only perish.
This member of the Triumvirate is talking so differently. The one back in the previous room had almost a completely different story. If being a cycle could drive them mad, I had to wonder which one was mad.
This is why we will not stop you if you wish to kill us. That blade has kept us alive long enough to see things through. Our final rest would only be a sign that we have finally won. So go ahead, kill me, and kill my master. Turn that blade on the idol, and see what happens. See if you can free everybody from its wrath. Not just us, or Alestia, but all worlds, and all people. If you are not strong enough, then the cycle will just start anew. Before you know it, you may be facing us here once more. But know that we are not your enemy. All we've done to...
I'm sick of hearing it. I'm sick of this weak justification. I phased the blade into my hand and thrust it through their chest. But like I was warned before, the idol responds to my aggression. The room is engulfed in a blinding darkness. It must be the idol. The blade usually causes a white light. I feel immense warmth around me and hear the crackling of flames. The darkness fades and the entire room is engulfed in fire. The Triumvir stands before me, bleeding and crying. These were no gods, just weak, arrogant people.
Very well.
I turn left and face the flames, forcefully taking them with me. I hold them there with the blade, tempted to absorb their soul. But no, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve the satisfaction. I pull the blade out and watch as the wound oozes blood. Then I grab them by the cloak and pull them close to me. In their final moments, I curse them and condemn them. And then I push them back into the idol's flames. I hear them scream and writhe as they're slowly burned alive. In my opinion, they deserved a punishment far worse than that. Now, just one more to go. As I turn back to face the idol, the final Triumvir stands before me. I hold out the blade toward them, showing my intent to kill. That was my goal. Kill the Triumvirate, destroy the idol.
Stop! Think about what you're doing. Everything we've done in the name of freedom.
Whoa, whoa, okay. What the fuck? That's new. There's like distortion underneath the fucking speaking. What the fuck? Like stuff that was not there before, like a weird little that was distorted. Yeah. They get down on their knees and look up at me.
Normally, I'd send you back to start the cycle anew. But now, your strength surpasses mine. This must be the end. I beg for your mercy. Let me live to see what I fought for.
Without hesitation, I swing the blade and cut off their head. They fall to the ground and the blood stains the white of their cloak. I'm not sure what to believe, as they all had something different to say. Perhaps they meant to use that doubt as a weapon when I got here. I throw away that nonsense and stick to the goal I originally had. With them out of the way, it was time to destroy that idol for good. I take a step forward and my body is assaulted with pain. I can tell that the idol is fighting back, and I fall to my knees. The flames are so hot that I feel as if I'm melting away too. But no, something else is happening. It's not just the flames. The idol is trying to kill me, but I'm not the only one here. Inside of me is the monarchy. Billions of spirits wanting to help. It's almost as if they're shielding me, sacrificing themselves for me. I stand up and take another step forward. The pain is even worse. I fall to my hands and knees and cry in agony. What the... More lyric! My vision blurs, but after a while, things return to normal. Though the pain is starting away, I start to feel weaker and weaker. I know that the souls inside of me are giving their lives for this. If I could get to the idol and attack it, I might be able to win. That was a big maybe. But there was one thing I knew for sure. I might not live through this. And there was no other option. Every step I took could easily be my last. Determination rises within me, and I take another step forward. My body is racked with pain, and it's almost impossible to walk. I use the blade as a makeshift cane as a voice sounds in my head.
You can do this, Monarch. Don't give up.
I'm not sure what I just heard since nobody is actually around me. In these chambers it would seem that time and space act abnormally. With another step it would grip my teeth. It feels like I'm being torn apart.
Keep on moving! We didn't come this far just to lose now!
As the souls exit my body to shield me, I get noticeably weaker. I tremble with every step, trying as hard as I can to keep myself standing. My comrades call out to me and urge me to keep moving. I start to cry.
I guess I'm no longer the strongest member of the rebellion. I'm proud of you, Monarch. You saw this through to the bitter end.
With another step, I fall right to the ground. I lay there, crying and squirming in pain. My grip on the blade tightens as I shake.
Is this really how you want your story to be told? Get up, Monarch! Get up and finish what you started!
I use the blade for the support and try to rise to my feet. This is taking so much out of me. Would I have enough power in the end? Hoping with every fiber of my being that I do, I take another step forward.
I knew there was something special about you. Ever since the start. You brought us all together and unified us. You made us a family.
I smile, a stark contrast to the tears streaming down my face. With another step, I'm almost facing the idol. I couldn't do this alone. The voices of my comrades and the souls inside of me carry me forward.
So, everything has led to this. The monarchy is no more, but you can still live. Make it through this, and give Alestia the future it deserves.
I take one more step and ready the blade. As soon as I thrust it into that idol, things would be over. But as the power within me dwindled, I realized one thing. No matter what happened next, the blade would be destroyed. But if I wanted to get rid of the idol for good, then I would perish as well. In order to live and see another day, I'd have to hold back. Just a bit. But if I did that, then there's a chance the idol might not be fully defeated. It could come back in the future, to corrupt and decay other innocent worlds. Was keeping my life worth condemning other worlds to suffer like we did? I thrust the blade into the idol and activate it. The blinding white light follows. This was the end. The furry Jesus time. The blade, in mere moments, would enact my final will. I just have to ask myself, what would that final will be? I came with a mission, and I think I have to see it through. I couldn't spare myself if it meant that other worlds could be hurt. It would be selfish. Even though I wanted to live, I knew I couldn't. Does this change it at all, actually? It didn't. Suicide like Jesus is badass. As soon as we set sail, I knew this could be the end for me. But even though I knew it was a possibility, I still didn't want to believe it. I was only fooling myself, thinking that I could live to see what I fought for. I denied the Triumvir that right. Now I would deny it to myself as well. I guess it didn't matter now. I could feel myself fading away. I command the blade to use all the power it can, including that of my life. No matter what happened to me, I could rest knowing one simple fact. Alestia had been given the future that it deserved. In the hands of the people, they were free to live as they pleased. As everything fades away, I wonder what that future might bring my allies.
After the war, Valessa dedicated her life to philanthropy. She helped the people of Mazeo move on from the Triumvirate. Undoing some of the damage her parents had done was her new calling. As pirates, they inflicted wounds upon the culture and people of Mazeo. Being their daughter, she felt qualified to try and make up for what they did, and so she would go down in history as one of Mazeo's greatest public figures. She didn't ignore Valenorth, however, and still paid frequent visits. Trusting Fortem to take care of her home, she did the same for Mazeo. Together, they helped ensure that both nations lived strong and in harmony. Each year, she'd place flowers on Salberg's spirit idol. This was to remember you and the idol that empowered you. You were never forgotten, not by her or by the world you served. For as long as she lived, she did this every year. Known as a strong woman, this was the only time she shed a tear. Tales of her dedication to your memory would live on after her passing. Because of your efforts and choices, Valessa survived. When the whole world stood against her, she faced it and prevailed. You gave her a gift of a happy, peaceful life, one not lost to senseless war.
Okay, here's the choice. Here's where it all comes down. Holy shit. Valessa survived.
Fortem returned to Valenorth and took on the role of elder. He stayed true to his word and united his nation with the rest of Alestia. At the loss of some culture, Valenorth merged with the monarchy for good. A small price to pay, many would say. Valenorth let go of its dead beliefs. No more spirit realm, no more seers. Valenorth was just like every other nation. Trade routes were opened, and Valenorth was no longer closed off to outsiders. In a way, his nation became almost an extension of Mazeo. Upon his passing, he left behind the world he dreamed of creating, a unified Alestia, each nation resting on another for strength and purpose. He never got over the loss of his best friend, however. The day of your death became a day of festivities for Valenorth. They celebrated the gift of life that you gave to the rest of Alestia. On this day, many flowers would line the streets to your home. Fortem still came over every day, keeping your house in tip-top shape. He says it's what you would have wanted. He never stopped honoring your memory. Fortem survived the war, despite all odds. His strong love for everything around him kept him afloat. When all hope was lost, he stood up and challenged death in the face. And for that, he was never forgotten. Living a long and full life, he was happy. Alestia was forever better because of him. After the war, Pro settled down in Mazeo and started to write. He wanted to chronicle everything about the major players of the war. Working with any rebel survivors, he pledged that their story would never be lost. His works would go down in history as the most detailed records of wartime. People would aspire to write like him, but to this date, none have come close. Considered one of the greatest historians in Alestia, he retired and lived a peaceful life. He wrote about you and your sacrifice in vivid detail, along with your shared love. In his mind, it was important to write about you as a person instead of a hero. Legends should be grounded in reality. At least that's how he chose to write about you. But he never forgot about the relationship that formed between the two of you. A lover, a fighter, a hero. Alestia would remember you in many ways in the years to come, but most importantly, thanks to Pro's writing, you would be a symbol of hope to all. Pro's identity as the mole within the rebellion never came to light. However, even if it did, he had done enough to make up for his actions. Many aspired to write like him, but none could achieve such prowess. After the war, Ulrich did his best to assist the throne and serve the monarchy. There was much to take care of, and things were chaotic after the fog of war settled. But he was up to the task, and he did everything in his power to make the world a better place. In his spare time, he would visit New Alarinthia and assist Vivian as well. Having achieved his dream of a changed nation, it made sense to help out. It would take a while before every Alarinthian adjusted to this new lifestyle. With your sacrifice, there was nobody left to lead Alestia. Ulrich, stepping up, took on the role of the first king of the monarchy. His goal was clear: to educate the world on the new status quo. People slowly learned and adjusted to news of the Triumvirate's fall, but with many years of hard work, they had come to enjoy Ulrich's rule. Alestians lived in peace, never fearing what their rulers may do to them. He never forgot the romance that blossomed along your journey. Even though you were lost, he still stayed loyal to you and your memories. Though people thought he refused to move on, he knew this wasn't true. With his curse lifted, he was no longer afraid of dying. He knew that if he did, he might see his love again in the afterlife. This thought is what kept him going when things as a ruler got rough. Thanks to your efforts, Ulrich was able to live a happy life, free from the Triumvirate. The shadows of his past soon dissipated, and he turned into a new man, truly loved by the people. Though his secrets never came to light, he had certainly done enough work to make up for them. After the battle for Alestia, Damek had a lot of work to do. Going from a member of the rebellion to a leader in the monarchy was a huge change. He was no longer part of a small army. His actions affected the entire world. Because of your sacrifice, the surviving forces were in a state of disarray. However, this was put to rest when Ulrich stood up and assumed the role of king. Damek immediately pledged loyalty to his childhood friend and served his new king. But he never forgot about you and what you did in order to secure victory. He used you as a guide on what to do and was known as kind and honorable. That was his way of honoring your growing love, using your ideals as inspiration. He remained in his role as advisor, just under Ulrich's leadership instead. Honoring your appointment, he served in this capacity until the end of his days. His bond with Ulrich stayed as strong as ever, and they always saw eye to eye. Damek eventually got over all of the fears that controlled him. He paid visits to the spot where he lost his mother, but it held no power over him. Speaking as if she were there with him, he told her stories of everything that happened. And he was able to leave without feeling sad. Instead, he was happy. He knew that if she were really there, she would be proud of him. That was enough to keep him going when times got tough. Thanks to your efforts, Damek was able to live a long, happy life. He served the throne for the rest of his life, remaining forever loyal. The tale of how far he'd come would go down in history and become legend. True to his word, Sovi was never seen again after the trip back to Mazeo. Seemingly lost to history, nobody was able to confirm what had happened to him. However, for almost an eternity, sightings of a man resembling him had been reported. This man had always fought enemies of the monarchy, ensuring your legacy continued. If it truly was Sovi, then perhaps his claims of defecting from the Triumvirate were true. But as nobody could prove his true identity, this was simply a matter of conjecture and debate. Howell survived the war,
Despite several grievous wounds, his body mended them with ease and his life continued as normal. He dedicated his life to assisting the throne and recording history. But not current history. He wrote about the old monarchy and their ways. It was almost as if the spirits inside him felt regret at their actions. Nobody knew why Howl had this change of heart, but it was for the better. However, he chose to write about you and your sacrifice as well. In his eyes, you were an extension of his kind as well, and very important. He called you the bridge between worlds, and attributed victory almost entirely to you. Thanks to your efforts, Howl was able to live a happy life. He was rarely seen outside of the castle, and mostly stuck to writing. But to him, it was worth it in order to teach the world more about his kind. Aaron personally oversaw the transition of his home from a tavern to a barracks. He wanted to ensure that during the switch, things still met his standards and regulations. Peregrino became a source of immeasurable military might, and Aaron oversaw all of it. Though conflict was rare, Peregrino remained as the first line of defense to protect Valenorth. Aaron realized that he hadn't lost his home at all, for home was where he and his friends resided. He lived the rest of his days in this new barracks, a proud servant of the new monarchy. This is where Milas settled down, unable to decide between Mazeo and Valenorth. He lived a happy and peaceful life, choosing how his remaining days played out. Being free to choose what happened to him, he was never bound by duty again. After the chaos dwindled,
he survived!
Alex returned to Mazeo and started a new life. His treaty was honored, and pirates were forgiven for all they had done. All bans were lifted, and pirates were officially employed as traders.
I was just gonna let it play out, but he survived! Like the last time we saw him, he was just he almost sounded like he was saying his death speech back in that cabin. No, we survived! Yay!
Nada was never seen again. It was assumed that she didn't agree with these changes, or perhaps she was spiteful that you didn't choose to align with her demands. Either way, Alestia would forever remember her as a ruthless pirate lord. After finding himself fully redeemed, Grizz returned to his office as mayor. Honoring the pirate treaty he had coordinated, he helped Mazeo adjust to every change. He had long since been forgiven by the people, but it was only now that he forgave himself. The created seers seemed to be affected by your attack on the Dark Idol. As if offering their strength when needed the most, the energy within them vanished. When the fog of war settled, they were no longer plagued with visions. They had healthy minds. Vivian returned to Alarinthia and led it into a new age. No longer was the fate of the nation in the hands of the strong. Alarinthia existed in unity with the new monarchy, and it flourished. Trade routes were introduced, and its ports were open to everybody. The strict security and immigration process had been abolished permanently. Holding a ball every year, Vivian kept up the tradition of giving to the people. One thing was for sure. Alarinthia would never be in the hands of the strong again. Vivian lived out a long and happy life in the nation he had always dreamed of creating. Shane was never seen again after that fateful encounter in Balteus. He is presumed dead, and many refuse to speak about his betrayal. If he survived, he went to great lengths to remain hidden from the world. When the chaos and confusion settled down, Halen seemed like a new man. He likened his existence to that of a spectator watching a performance. No matter what he wanted to do, his body could not defy his masters. He decided to atone for what he had done and joined the new monarchy. Of course, many people were apprehensive about accepting his aid. Over time, they learned to accept him and his desires as genuine. His job stayed largely the same, ensuring that Alestia's rulers remained in power. But with new masters and even new friends, he took pride in being on the right side. With the Dark Idol gone from Balteus, the corruption slowly waned. Over the next several decades, it made a complete transformation. Many would call it the most beautiful place in all of Alestian history. Its name was changed to New Balteus, and left behind its old roots. No longer would it be known as the seat of the tyrannical triumvirate. People would see it as the place where Alestia was changed forever. People would come from all over the world to see the home of the new monarchy. It became a symbol of new beginnings, teaching people that change is always possible. As the corruption slowly disappeared, people settled down and turned it into a prosperous nation. You were successful in your aspirations. You left behind an entirely changed world. The members of the rebellion that survived had a new, even bigger journey before them. It was time to lead the world into the bright future you secured. For them, work had only just begun. Thank you for your service, Monarch. For everything you've done, you will never be forgotten.
I'm scared. Why is there still more? I was like, yay, I did it! It's gonna cut to credits! What? My vision fades in and I feel incredibly confused. With everything that just happened, I should definitely be dead. Actually, maybe I was. Far be it from me to decide what death brought. I know that I'm in my house, that much is easily discernible. After rising up to a sitting position, though, I notice something shocking. The lower half of my arm is still missing. Could I have survived? No, that was impossible. So what's going on exactly? As my mind starts to fill with possibilities, there's a knock at my door. I'm filled with fright. Then a moment later, I hear a familiar voice.
Hey, open up.
What's going on? What? 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 What?
Did you just wake up? Oh, jeez. Hope we won't be late. Don't tell me you forgot what day it is.
What?
It's the anniversary of your induction. If we don't hurry to the town square, we'll be late. Salus is already under enough stress having to train Milas.
I don't know what's happening anymore. What is going on? What is happening? I feel like I'm going crazy. The fucking beginning. What? But shit changed. What? What happened?
So come on, we need to get going. Your parents are counting on me, Seer. I told them to give me 10 minutes tops. don't just stand there. You need to get ready. At this rate, you'll be greeting the townspeople in your underwear. I mean, you can if you want to, but I really don't recommend that.
Thank you for stating it, Monarch! What the fuck is going on? What? What? What is going on? What is going on? I'm like flipping shit. What the fuck? Oh my god, wait. What the fuck?
Whoa, hey, calm down. Hey, wait, are you okay?
I nod and tell him that everything is fine. And this time, something tells me it will stay that way. I think I got the good ending!
I'll hang your picture on my wall. 4 days gone by, I recall those memories etched in my mind. When our lives intertwine, a moment frozen in time for me and you. And just like the waves across the sea, we were strong, wild and free. Oh, how we laughed, how we cried. Our voices echoed through the night. Nothing mattered in this world except you and me. Though the days can pass me by, I'll not forget. 'Cause when we meet again, it's like you never left. 'Cause that's when home comes to you. It doesn't matter where you are, some things are always true. There are those that leave a mark upon your heart you'll never lose. 'Cause that's when home comes to you. And as the years go marching on, the bonds that formed are just as strong. And as our futures unfurl, it was us against the world. And there was nothing that we felt we couldn't do. The way you shaped my life is hard to comprehend. One look at you feels like I've come home again. 'Cause that's when home comes to you. It doesn't matter where you are, some things are always true. There are those that leave a mark upon your heart you'll never lose. 'Cause that's when home comes to you. Though the days can pass me by, I'll not forget. 'Cause when we meet again, it's like you never left. The way you shaped my life is hard to comprehend. One look at you feels like I've gone home again. 'Cause that's when home comes to you. It doesn't matter where you are, some things are always true. If you had to let somebody go, but they return to you, well, that's when home comes to you. It doesn't matter where memories etched in my mind. When our lives intertwine, a moment frozen in time for me and you. And just like the waves across the sea, we were strong, wild and free. Oh, how we laughed, how we cried. Our voices echoed through the night. Nothing mattered in this world except you and me. Though the days can pass me by, I'll not forget. 'Cause when we meet again, it's like you never left. 'Cause that's when home comes to you. Doesn't matter where you are, some things are always true. There are those that leave a mark upon your heart you'll never lose. 'Cause that's when home comes to you. And as the years go marching on, the bonds that formed are just as strong. And as our futures unfurl, it was us against the world. And there was nothing that we felt we couldn't do. The way you shaped my life is hard to comprehend. One look at you feels like I've come home again. 'Cause that's when home comes to you. It doesn't matter where you are, some things are always true. There are those that leave a mark upon your heart you'll never lose. 'Cause that's when home comes to you. Though the days can pass me by, I'll not forget. 'Cause when we meet again, it's like you never left. The way you shaped my life is hard to comprehend. One look at you feels like I've come home again. 'Cause that's when home comes to you. It doesn't matter where you are, some things are always true. If you had to let somebody go, but they return to you, well, that's when home comes to you. It doesn't matter where you are, some things are always true. There are those that leave a mark upon your heart you'll never lose. Well, that's when home. 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 Well, that's when
And that was Winds of Change. Oh my god, that was... I'm being completely honest when I say that was one of the best visual novels I've played in a while. I like the Phoenix Wright series, I like 9 Hours, 9 Doors, 9 Persons, but this was absolutely fantastic. Just to state, I don't know how many people can actually read the stuff on the side, especially when this is in VOD form, but... Avalon Healer pointing out in chat, here's the bad thing. This time the Triumvirate never existed, which means that Ulrich and Ulrich are Soviet because they died a long time ago, and I'm just sitting here giving out a silent no! No! Two of my favorite characters are just not there anymore, but I think I got the good ending. Holy shit! I was not aiming for that. Holy shit! That was... Yeah, with the one exception of Shane, like, disappearing. That was... I think I got the good ending. There was a heart with a plus sign down at the bottom. Like, when the achievement came up, I think I got the good ending. Give me a second. I actually do want to look at like Steam for this, so it shouldn't come up. I still did not see the scenes with Sylvie. I will have to in a little bit. I'll have to go back for a little bit. All alliances and comrades survived the battle. That's what happened. That is the post. That is the post game. Okay, that's what those meant. So, I want to say that means I got a good ending because everybody survived and all the friends survived and things ended up turning out basically okay. I did not see the scenes with Sylvie. I will have to on another timeline, I think. I will probably go and play this off screen because I have all the save spots. So I'll just go back and like say yes on certain locations and then save and do what I did from there and do that like that. But that'll probably be in my off time because holy crap, that was amazing, but I do need to take a breather from it for right now. Especially with how many times the game I basically want to come in with a panic. You might, but it'll probably be on a different route where I try just a whole bunch of different stuff, and it'll also probably be a little bit further down the line. Or I might just make like a reaction thing, I don't know, afterward, like a post-reaction to all the new ones. Oh, the one in Balteus. Yeah, so what I might do is call this not the finale, but I will save it for another time. I will save the Sovi stuff for another time. Because I do kind of want to go and do other stuff for just a little bit. Up next, I think what I'm going to do is I want to go back through a game that I've been playing recently, which is .hackgu Volume 1. So that'll probably be what I stream next. I got a couple of other things lined up. I will go back to this eventually for the ending with Sovi if people are like you are interested. So I might, but yeah, it's gonna happen a little bit later on. Yeah, so I need a break. As much as this game wanted to give me conniption, as much as this game sent me into conniptions whenever like something strange was gonna happen, I was just like, yeah, like every time, like for the ending there and the fucking Coliseum scenes where I was just like wanting to go like, again, what the fuck is going on now? This game sent me into panic attacks like no visual novel has ever done before, but yeah. Okay, but yeah, so that'll be all for right now. Thank yous to Avalon Healer for hanging out in the chat, and thank you to everybody else who's watching, but not necessarily in chat or the comments over on YouTube as well. That is all for right now. Next time will be .hackgu Volume 1. We'll see if anybody else is interested in that series, and if I end up doing the rest of them later on as well. But for right now, that is all for right now. Thank you all so much for watching. And until we meet again on these dusty trails, have a howling good day. Take care.